Hi, welcome to a chat room at the Straits Times. My name is Robin Chan and I'm a political correspondent at the Straits Times. Today we have three very special guests to discuss the very hot topic of housing prices and the housing market. On my left is Mr. Colin Tan, who's the Director for Research and Consultancy at Chesterton Suntec International. To his left is Mr. Donald Han, the Special Advisor at HSR Property Group. And in front of me is Professor Sing Tian Fu, who is the Associate Professor at the NUS Department of Real Estate. Today we're going to be talking about a very hot topic for everyone, housing prices and the housing market. So first, let's talk about the first topic, which is the $1 million HDB flat. Are we living in crazy times, or what does this mean for Singapore's housing market? Colin?
Yes, I'm not so much concerned about the prices actually reaching the 1 million mark, because if you've been following the market, you realize that prices are going to go up, and with special properties with special attributes, you're going to hit the 1 million mark. It's only a matter of time. Okay, but of concern is, of course, what does this signify? Is it signifying rising prices, and that's where it has crossed the 1 million mark, and would more properties cross that 1 million mark? I think so. I think it's a reflection of rising prices, albeit gradually.
My sense is that if you're putting things in perspective, that $1 million property, let it be your 5-room or your executive HDB, HUDC portfolio, those are pretty much more of an exception rather than the norm. If you look at headline numbers, those that certainly creates breaking news, those numbers are pretty much on top of your median prices. But if you look at generally the resale market as a whole, about 70% of transactions are really focused on the 3 and the 4 bedroom resale prices. Your executive flats are only about 8% of total resale transactions. 5-room is only about 25%, so which means technically we should be focusing more on what are the median prices for the majority of resale transactions, and majorities of these are pretty much still transacting at very affordable price levels, which are between roughly about $400 per square foot to as much as about $600 per square foot. And if you look beyond that at entry level for BTOs, where we're concerned about affordability, BTO prices are going roughly between your $300 to about $500 per square foot. So it's already a discounted price, subsidized price, plus on top of that, that's before factoring all your subsidy that the government gives, assuming that you're eligible.
Prof.
Yeah, at first I think the prices have gone up in general. So it's, as Colin has said, it's just a matter of time when this, when this $1 million record will break. But I think looking at this price, I think other than the transaction price, I also concerned about the other issue about the COV. In fact, in this case, actually the COV cash flow valuation is about near 200,000, about 20% of that. I think that is actually something that we also quite alarming. But looking at the price, I think the lot need to be actually studied. What actually drive these prices? Is it because of the particularly strong demands in that areas? Because let's look at it, mature estate, supply are inelastic. I think that we probably don't expect a lot of new BTO to be coming out in this area. So I think there probably is a strong demand for this type of housing. So demand side, I think we need to actually do a lot more study to find out what actually drive this $1 million. Is it just a single case or one particular demands, or is it because general market there's strong demand for this type of housing at that area? I think the second issue on the COV is also quite important to look at, because on one hand is the transaction price, on the other hand is the valuation. Its valuation is because valuation normally look at the past transaction, its valuations is lagging too far off the market, or is it the price just move up too high, too fast? So these are the issues that I think probably need to carefully analyze.
Do any of you want to come in with
I think what Donald said is true, in the sense that the majority of prices are still affordable. But I think if you've been reading the online chatter, I think the worry is that prices are rising. Okay, so that's the immediate concern. They realize that these are exceptional, sales for special properties, and they cross the 1 million mark. But what do this signify? It's signifying rising prices, and the fear for the people or potential buyers at least is it going to move away? Is it going to run away again?
Yeah.
That's the concern. Yeah. The other point that Prof has brought up, COV. If you notice, the COV is actually about 20% off. 10%, 5%. Usually you say COV occurs because the market is always doing a catch-up. In the sense that the valuation is done and then the marketing is done, follows, and then usually in a rising market, the COV appears. But if you've been looking at the last several months, actually the HDB resale market is quite stable. So why is this high COV? 20% is huge. I mean, for valuers, usually we say it should not be, as a rule of thumb, it should not be more than 15%. So this is it's close to 20%. And in the other case, it's more than 20%. I think that's a concern. How valuers have been valuing HDB resale flats. Are they undervaluing their special attributes? Are the valuers not looking at the recognizing that there are some characteristics that the market demand? That is a concern, the valuation also. Because do we start to look at it when valuations are more than 20%, 25%, 30%? Do we start to now relook at how we value our HDB flats?
So you think it's actually a valuation problem? How we value the flat?
No, I think high prices is partly because of the supply crunch. The valuation have fallen short in the sense. The question is, how are valuers doing it? I'm more concerned with the reputation of the valuers. Why is this 20%? I think 20% is too big a gap. To me, it's unacceptable.
Donald, you want to say something?
I'm a median person, so I'll look at where median prices are. I would follow that very closely. In a sense, I think generally, while we are looking at generally an increase in median prices, if you look at the last 5 years, prices for resale flats have actually gone up by a whopping 90%. That increase has started to taper off this year. We're only seeing like about 2% increase compared to the whole of last year would be about 10.6%.
Right.
So if we extrapolate that next 2 quarters, end of the year, we'll probably be about 4%. That's about right in a sense. We need to cover inflation, which is going to be about 4%. And if you're looking into what has happened in the entire landscape for even HDB, urbanization has actually crept into a greater increase into prices for a lot of these property that we've seen $1 million transaction, where it's now deemed as an attractive place to stay. I mean, the Shunfu estate, which has the Bishan, are all as good as urbanized central area. And it's seen increase in terms of prices because of new project developments which are being launched in those areas. So you've got, when Sky Habitat launched at about $1,500, $1,700 per square foot, it has a tendency to increase the vessels in that area. When water level rises, all the boats will tend to move as well.
We look at 2007 June, a 5-room flat went for $675,000. September 2012, the Queenstown flat is now $1 million. I mean, prices have gone up. They've almost doubled in that 5-year period. I mean, we understand that prices will have to go up, eventually, but are they going up too fast? And should they be more expensive than our condominiums? Because this is a HDB flat.
Well, I mean, I agree with what Donald's comment. Actually, when you look at the prices, you cannot just look at this HDB resale flat in isolation. I think the private project in the surrounding area have some impacts, especially the spillover effects, because the prices have risen recently quite substantially for private development in the areas. I think some of the household who previously looking at this private housing may find it unaffordable to actually purchase this private housing. So maybe this resale flat may be the alternative and options for them to consider. Better options. Alternative option compared to buying another private condominium in the suburban area. So I think that may have some impacts on the prices. And on the issue about the the distributions. Donna was talking about the median price. I think it probably need a lot more statistic to look at the issue of distributions, whether the median price, how these median price are distributed. Are we looking at the are there any concentrations of high CVOV for houses or flats so in the city area or fringe area compared to the new towns or other region of in the island? So I think the distribution of the COV may be something that may tell or may indicate some trends or the demands on the buyers.
So you're saying these are buyers who are priced out of private property and therefore going for these, the 5-room and HDB flats and all that. Is it possible? I mean, I think Minister also raised the possibility that these are people who are downgrading from private condominiums and are buying these resale flats. Those are also the buyers that we're looking at.
Yeah, I think if you look at all the cases where the high COVs are involved, most likely it's probably a beneficiary of a collective sale, and they are able to pay that kind of cash, And I think the statistics minister did reveal, I think a few months back, did show that they were responsible for quite a number of these high-profile cases with high COVs. Yeah.
How high do you think HDB prices can go in the next 2 years? Do you think we'll hit 1.5 million even?
I think there is pressure for prices to go up. Partly, not so much that there's increase in demand. Okay, my theory is that there's a supply crunch in the sense that the fresh supply of resale flats for the next few years is actually quite low. Because if you understand the way HDB resale flats come on the market, because new flats must be occupied for 5 years, and then if you add in construction period, let's say 2-3 years, so that's a total of 8 years. So what determines fresh supply is something that happened 8 years ago or more. Okay, so if you look at the government building program, 8 years and even further back, that's when our building program was drastically reduced to about 10,000, roughly about 10,000 per annum. So they are maturing now. Okay, and usually it's this supply that the fresh maturing flats that actually come onto the market. And so it's actually, my own estimate is maybe 50 to 75% lower than, let's say, compared to maybe 5 years or 10 years ago. So that's a real supply crunch, and in that sense there's pressure for prices to go up. So I wouldn't be surprised if after this reporting of the $1 million, there will be more to come. Yeah.
Looking at this issue of prices, as mentioned, the rate of growth of the price will slow down. What actually will drive the price to increase further is actually keeping that supply is, even the current supply number is constant for the next few years. The important factor that may drive the price increase, it could be due to, I look at it, the demand factor can be caused by the two fundamental factors. One, interest rate, as Madonna has said. The other one, the income growth. Look at it, because you look at it, the income, if you determine the affordability, how much can the price go? How high can the price go? It depending on the affordability of the household. If the income does not increase as high, then probably that will actually have some impacts on the price increase.
And we're going on a slower growth period in the next 2-3 years, so we don't expect income to rise as much as what we saw in the last 2 years after the global financial crisis.
Maybe we can bring an end to this segment first. In part 2, we're going to talk about quantitative easing and more on the effect of low interest rates.